are here in the studio, ladies and gentlemen, with the men of the cast of Trans World Atlanta. And I'll let them go around and introduce themselves, starting from my right.
What's up, y'all? My name is Jamel Ashley, affectionately known as Papa Bear. I'm the youngest over here in the crew with my brothers. I'm so excited to be here this morning. How y'all doing?
What's up, bro?
What's going on, y'all? I'm Sean Jackson, the co-owner and founder of Transgender Atlanta. Hey, we about to talk about some great things, y'all. Let's get it popping.
Yo, what's up, y'all? Good morning. My name is Nick Devereau. Y'all already know. Listen, I'm just Nick. I do a whole lot of. But for real though, today we're here talking about Trans World Atlanta. I actually just got off a second project I can finally talk about. I'm excited about it. So there's 2 projects under my belt in a year, but I promise you Trans World Atlanta is not what you want to miss. Stay tuned for the re-release of Guy Code Foundation. 2023 is the year, y'all. Stay tuned.
Why did I just feel like I was at the BET Awards and you were plugging all your new projects?
What's good, everybody?
Get my new cereals coming out next week.
What's good, everybody? Malik, Santiago, part of the cast with my amazing brothers. Trans World Atlanta, coming to a TV near you.
So now, when I spoke with Raquel, and thank you so much, Raquel, who set this all up. We talked back and forth, and she was like, "Look now, look."
That's right.
Now you need to. She was like, "You need to tell me what you need, cause look." So I said, "Well, you know, I don't need the entire cast." So she's like, "Okay, I'm gonna send the guys. Where they need to be at? Where they need to be? Send me the letter. I said, "Yes, ma'am." So she made it happen. So thank you so very much. She didn't talk like that, y'all. That's just me.
I don't know, but
well, maybe she kind of did sound like that a little bit.
Sound like that. So it might be.
So let's start at the very beginning. A very good place to start, says Julie Andrews. Yes, that is my gay card. Tell me about this documentary series, show, reality series, how that came to be, and what part you all play in it. Don't all be shy.
I can't answer that question.
I'm gonna let Malik go ahead and start it off. I'll say this much. I don't know. I just got a call from Malik.
Now I'm gonna need you to get into that microphone, put it in your mouth like food.
Like food, or I mean.
I think that's my expertise.
I'm just saying.
We'll get to that later.
Listen, I just made it something else. A whole kitty cat.
It's valid though.
Listen, he said food, I said kitty cat. It's the same. It's synonymous. Check this out, y'all. For real, I just got a call one day from my brother Malik. He was like, "Yo, bro, pausing. Do you think you and your lady would like to do a reality show?" I'm like, "No, a show." "What show, bro?" He was real hesitant about saying what the show was. I'm like, "Yo, you got to give me some details." He's like, "Okay, so I signed this NDA, so I really can't tell you a lot today. But tell me if you're interested." I was like, "Yeah, I suppose, but I need a little bit more info." But for real, that's how I got in tune with this show. And then I let Malik take it on.
Well, that was how my introduction was too. The only thing was I was pregnant eating olive stuff with raspberries when Malik called me. So, but that's all I wanted to add. Go ahead, brother. Tell us about this show.
And olives.
I was pregnant.
I think for the most part, we all got that phone call from Malik, and I was on pretty much the same thing with Nick. What it's about, what we need to do, who's going to be on there. When he gave me the names, I was like, "Oh, let's do it." You know what I'm saying? I was excited. And so far since the first series came out, it was amazing. I can't wait for the second series.
All right, so it sounds like y'all all got held up with gunpoint and they told y'all what to do. That's what I heard. That's what I heard. Okay, so when you began to shoot the show and you began to get to know a little bit more about what the show was about, what was it? Can you not hear?
There's nothing in the headphones.
Okay, we'll work it out, baby. Okay, well, nonetheless, y'all got to talk about me on the air. Work it, y'all actors. But nonetheless, so when you began to shoot the show, What was it that you were seeing happen before you, and what did you want people to get once you finished filming that you hope you had accomplished in the filming?
Yeah, I really was excited about being able to tell the story of being a Seahorse dad or a pregnant trans man. I was excited to show my family's love because it is a very non-traditional love, but it is still love nonetheless. And so I was excited to be a part of something that was honoring trans folks in the way that we deserve to be honored, bringing humanity to us, and just getting to really spend time and get to know my brothers a little more, because I think, the newest to Atlanta here. And so just to be able to see, myself in my future through my brothers. I can live in this life and I can have a family and I can have success, and that's what I got from them during the filming and during the taping. And I was excited. I was excited throughout the whole process. I had probably gave birth maybe a month prior, so I was exhausted, but I wouldn't change anything.
Well, now let's talk about that, Janelle, because I'm asking the question because I'm ally. Y'all my people all day. But there's somebody in the audience saying, what? But he a man. But he a man. Like, why he having a baby? I don't understand. Like, what's going on? What is this about? Explain what the Seahorse dad is.
So, in nature, seahorses, along with two other types of fish, the males give birth to the babies. So the tag Seahorse dad just represents that I am a man who gave birth to a baby.
Okay. That's dope.
That's
All right. So here we go. But wait. But you want to be a man, and men don't have babies. So why? And I'm not making fun. But this is how they talk. Y'all know these are the questions. So I mean, if you want to be a man, why you want to have a baby? Like, why though?
Because manhood is not defined by anyone except for that man.
I like that. I like that. In community, what have you seen as of late, especially centered around legislation and the LGBTQ of the community? How have you been embraced as a trans man? Anyone of you can answer that. Or have you felt embraced as a trans man?
Well, for me, I think I can speak for a few of us. It's this thing called privilege, where if I walk in the restroom, you don't know what's between my legs. I mean, because I'm privileged to look the way I look. So I just roll with it. I'm me. I don't try to live for nobody else. I don't care what nobody else think. I'm happy with who I am. So I've been embraced.
So if I thought was, are we talking about in community or outside our community? And I have an answer to community. I can piggyback off of what my brother said. In the community, I've always been embraced. I've never felt ostracized or any of those issues, even from my lesbian sisters or my stud brothers. You know what I'm saying? It's been a long lineage of calling studs he, and brother. I was a he and brother before I transitioned, and now in my manhood, I'm still the same he and brother with the same heart, right? So the privilege Malik speaks about, I've always had it. Now, outside of the sorry about that, I gotta keep going to this mic, my bad. So outside of this community,
and watch your cell phone. If you have a cell phone near it, just move that over.
All right. So outside of this community, though, I've had lukewarm reactions, right? So I have a long-term, the one that I can tell you about that is most recent. I have a long-term college friend who, a long-term college friend who I actually met on campus the first day that I arrived, and we were friends for the duration. Several years later, here in Atlanta, we re-met up again through a mutual friend that also went to college with us, and she just could not wrap her mind around the fact that I was trans, and she demanded that I am not a man. That's not how she know me, and she refused to call me by my pronouns or give me this respect and support that I felt like I deserved. Respect is number one. It's required. Support, I'm hopeful. All that said, still to this day, I saw her we don't talk. I drew a line in the sand. She, like I said, she was my very, very best friend. I mean, really very best friend. We did all things together. Most recently, as recent as about 2 weeks ago, I was in Bath and Body Works and I saw her and her son. And she literally looked me in my face. She knew exactly who I was. I knew exactly who she was. She looked me in the face. I looked her in the face and she turned her head. She told her son something, which is, I'm sure she told her, that's who, my dead name. And when she purchased, she was 2 people in front of me. She came all the way back around just to walk past me to look me in my face as to say, I didn't exist. Broke my heart.
Wow.
Broke my heart. So that's the one thing that I could tell you about. I have very few of those occasions, but the ones like that are very meaningful because we grew up together. Yeah. We pledged together. That was important.
That's crazy. But I think that that's an important thing that you bring up. In the conversation around transness, and there's ways in which that it happened for a reason, but trans women have been focused in the conversation.
Yes.
And there's an assumption that because our trans brothers navigate with a certain level of privilege, in the sense that, and a lot of times y'all are able to navigate in a society where maleness gives a certain level of privilege, and then passing privilege has its own set of benefits, right? So I would like if y'all could talk a little bit more about the nuanced issues, like what you just listed, that are specific to trans masculine or trans men that people might be overlooking in their mind. I know we talked about you being able to have children, right? And you giving birth. The abortion conversation is not even included for trans men. And I feel like that's something that needs to be discussed as well. Do y'all mind talking about some of the other issues that trans men face that are not being discussed in the conversation around trans visibility?
I don't know. Bro, you want to kind of start off? And the only reason I look to you is because yours is in
the most visible.
The most visible.
Personal, right? People don't understand what they don't know. We can say many times over and over again that sexual orientation and gender identity are not, synonymous with one another, and they still don't understand. They still go back to what they think they know about, the hetero relationships. It's a man and a woman, and only a woman, identified woman, can have birth.
Well, let's start with this question, and then we'll come. Maybe that'll make it easier to answer. We hear often when we're having conversations about trans women, and the question arises, what is a woman? So I'll ask you gentlemen in this room, what is a man? Anybody?
I believe a man is someone who is made, someone who stands on principle and value, who protects, who loves, who knows empathy, who provides, who is sure about themselves. To me, that's what a man is. And that's why nobody can tell me, well, you aren't a man. Because I am sure about who I am. I'm sure every day when I wake up, when I show up in the world, that my body parts don't determine what my manhood is. I am privileged to be a man that was able to give birth to a child. I find that as a privilege. So one thing that Nick, you mentioned, right? The visibility of my relationship and myself. So I think that's something that we don't often see around with trans men, is that the ideal of sexuality. Everybody thinks that a trans man was a stud who only dates women. And that's just so limiting. And I think that we put these limiting lenses on transness in general because we put limits on humanity. So it's like, no, I'm a trans man who dates a cisgender two-spirit person. And we were able to have a biological child. That doesn't change my partner's identity. That doesn't change my identity. That just means that we procreated.
You bring up a great point. It's Twin, if you want to go ahead and ask the question, because it's already on the floor. That I think that when we look at these legislations that are happening, I think quite often they get the two confused: the genitalia and the sexuality.
Right.
And the gender identity. There's three things.
In the gender identity, because you can be trans and identify sexually in so many different ways. And so how is that conversation out of community? People just asking because they want to ask. How does that conversation feel for you, and what does that sound like? Anybody, and I'm looking this way because you're right next to me, but anybody.
I want to throw this out. I'm gonna throw this to you. I remember when I told my cousins I was pregnant. Most of my cousins are they males, and I remember my one cousin said, "You just do what the hell you want to do,"
and you should.
And I said, "Yeah." And that was the end of the conversation. Because he respects me. He didn't need to understand because he know he not going to understand. But it's the love and the respect. And at the end of the day, I don't expect everybody to love me, but you will respect me.
That's right.
Absolutely.
It's always the key. It's always the key.
Anybody else on that subject, on that topic?
I mean, I agree. I mean, it's about the respect. That's just like, with my family, my biological family, like everybody loves me. Nobody ever asked me a question about my decision. They just love me as me. And but I was determined to be who I wanted to be. So that meant if my mama didn't like it, my mama don't pay my bills. I love her to death. But I live in my own house. I make my own rules, and I was determined, that's right, pay my own bills. I was determined to be who I wanted to be. It's just a plus that they all gathered around me and accepted me, but it didn't matter if they did or not.
Does anybody have the story where that was opposite?
Yeah.
That you weren't accepted once you began to transition?
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Well, for me, it wasn't even, as of not being accepted, it was more or less, this is this mic thing, baby. I put too much stuff in my mouth. For my family, my biological family, me coming from a religious family, it's like they always threw the Bible at you. The Bible said this, and it didn't. It was interpreted like this, and it wasn't, but for you. And when I became, like, we talked about being a stud, and then we went into our trans man lives, my thing is, I look at it like this. If I can transition and be very successful and move on in my life, and when you do what you do in your life, why is it so hard for you to receive who I am, then you receiving who you are? You know what I'm saying? So it's like, it was more religious for me in my personal life than in my...
And was it a religious struggle for you, or a religious
for my family?
For your family? Okay.
Yes.
Okay. And so have you conquered that, or you got on a good page now?
I'm at a point right now, like Nick said, when you call me the dead name, I mean, I got nieces and nephews that, they might say auntie, but they have not saw me in like 20 plus years. I'm like, So that's what you see.
Right. Yeah.
That's what you see. Okay.
Yeah.
But I'm going to give you about 30 minutes to get your mind, not 30 seconds. I'm going to give you 30 minutes to get your vision and your mind together, and you're going to say what you just said. At the end of the day, if you want me to accept you on anything that you do, you're going to accept and respect my decision on my own life. That's point blank.
Hey, you got a point about that. That visibility, though. It's like, you see auntie?
Right.
Where you see auntie at?
But what really bothers me with family, especially your siblings, if you have any, that's all I know. That's not all you know.
Right.
Because if you go and start dating Billy Bob and then you marry Billy Bob, I don't know Billy. I don't know him. So it's a growing process. It's a process that we can go and move into together. So just respect me for who I am, me and my wife, my kid, and all that. So other than that,
Yeah, and I just real quick for me, I always in these moments feel privileged, and I hate it. And the reason I say that I hate it is because I didn't have those experiences. I had all accepting experiences, and I was, as an only child, I was raised by my grandmother, right? And literally, the only thing that mattered was my grandmother, not my mother. And my mother and I are very close, you know. But my grandma was my heart and my soul. And I didn't want to break her heart because I felt like first it was like a journey. Like first I came home from college and told her I was gay. I'm a lesbian. Then the next time I came home, I had on boy baggy clothes. You know, as she would say, "What is this blouse you got?" You know, and I used to just mama, just chill. Then fast forward, you know, later on I had to. She was actually in the nursing home at the time when I started transitioning. I remember. Distinctly, I said, "Mom, do not." I told my mom about it. I said, "Mom, don't tell Mama," which is my grandmother. When I come see her in a couple of weeks, I'm gonna tell her. Of course, all of that was out the water. But I was nervous. I was sweating when I walked in because I had that little chin strap. So I was excited about it. Right? My hair was short, you know, and I've always had short hair. However, but you know, I walked in and she looked up at me and she said, "Hey, Nick." And I just almost fell to pieces. Wow. And I was just like, so she was like, "Baby, come here." And I just laid in her arms and we literally laid there for 45 minutes with tears in my eyes and her rubbing my head with my head at her bosom. And at that moment,
that's beautiful.
Nothing else matters. When I tell y'all, not a job, not a wife, a fiance.
Y'all ain't gonna make me cry this morning.
Nothing matters. And that's the reason why. Yeah, and that's the reason why the story that I told about my best friend in college, while I hurt, I still understand this is my journey. And either you jump on the ship or you don't. Yeah. And the very last thing I'll say is, I have some cousins and some aunties, you know what I mean? And but I've always been what I would call a rebel. I did just what you just said, bro. I did whatever the hell I wanted to do. When I wanted to do it, how I wanted to do it. I don't know if that was a little bit of privilege. I'm talking about being raised up as an only child with my grandparents who gave me everything, etc. But I just don't give a. You know, I don't. I really don't. So you either like it or not. I'm gonna always respect you, and I need you to reciprocate that. Reciprocity is important. Or move along. No hard feelings. We're good.
You know, I think this is an important. I want to talk about, I see the dynamic you guys have, and it looks like y'all have really built a good, strong brotherhood. Can we talk a little bit about that? What was that like, coming together, coalescing your lives, and then putting your life in front of the camera together? I'm sure that requires that y'all have to get to know each other's personalities. So what was that like?
Well, for myself, Nick, and Sean, like, we've been brothers over 20 years now. Okay. And Jamel is the baby to the crew.
and the TV thing didn't add a new dynamic? It was an easy transition for y'all?
For me?
Yeah, I would say Malik is one of the first people I met in Atlanta, of the first handful. And to even have been called upon by you to be pulled in for the story, that let me know that you saw me. Because I feel like I had a difficult time when I first got here. Just because I am different. Even amongst other trans, I'm just different. And so I have a hard time finding people that I connect with because I'm gonna be me. Yeah. And I don't want to hear you talk mess about the fact that I date men, the fact that I live with HIV, the fact that any of that. This is who I am. And I never got that from you. So before you go into your story, I just wanted to say thank you. And I want to say thank you to y'all too, because y'all accepted me, embraced me, and let me in. So that's love for me, for y'all to allow me to be myself, because the in-bickering in our community be too much sometimes.
Yeah. You know, I was gonna touch on that. I was gonna touch on that because I know within the community right now, especially, all of the voices are, you shouldn't be this, you shouldn't be that, I don't understand that, I don't understand the pronouns. There's a certain celebrity whose name I will not mention that just angers me every time they talk on the topic that they're not qualified to talk on. Y'all know who I'm saying. If y'all say it, I'll say it out loud. Who?
Billy?
No, not that one.
Okay.
I feel, you know what, I feel like this is Billy's moment to belong, and he's finding his community.
And guess what? And I think he he's justified in doing so.
Yeah.
And the reason I say that, it took him a long time. He's what? He's 60.
Yeah.
He's very close
Yeah.
to 60.
Yeah.
But he's been, you know, kind of compressed down to just being a gay male in a box. And the fact that he date white guys, you know, it's just a lot of those things. And for now, he gets to live his best life, or however long God allows him to, in front of the public. Man, this black man made it, and I'm happy for him. You know, I'm really happy for him. You know, is he a little over the top sometimes? Absolutely. You know, for some people. But guess what? He has that right to be over the top. You know, he really does. And that's just my opinion. You know, people, I hate Billy Porter. Let me tell you, I fell in love with Billy Porter on Pose, and that's the vision I have, and I'm just really happy. I'm just really happy.
Leave it right there.
Yes. No, I was speaking more recent. No names, but there was a topic that came up. Lil Nas X posted something about a trans woman, walked through it, and the community got upset because I think the inference was that Lil Nas was transitioning, and that's what he was going to look like, and people got upset. Well, there were some people from the community that then put themselves in there and said it wasn't transphobic, and they live a queer cis homo life. Can you say that?
You can.
I just did.
Cis homo.
Cisgender homo. Yes, that one.
I'm gonna start saying that to the gay boys.
Right.
You little cis homo. I don't know about that one. That's a lot of different.
Y'all gonna get me beat up. But in it with
y'all hear how this going down?
See.
Into Trans World ATL.
Trans World
This is just a little bit of the backstory, man. It goes down in real life. Trust me.
One of the things that bothered me, and they kept inserting themselves, saying, well, that's not transphobic, that's not transphobic. And me, in the name of We Are You, I would say you don't have the right to tell someone what's offensive to them because that's not your experience.
Right.
You don't have the opportunity to say it's not transphobic because you don't live that life.
Right.
Sometimes it's just better to sit back and listen and learn than to insert yourself into a conversation that you have little to nothing to do with. Right. And I feel like right about now, I can speak plainly, that the community is at that cuspus.
Right.
Right at that level where we're understanding, but we're judging at the same time.
Very judging.
Yeah, very.
Oh, I touched the button. So we're gonna take a break and we're gonna come back to that.
Download the We Are You radio app.
Turn it up loud.
Use the shout out feature to talk directly to your favorite station. It's available in your app store. Search WERU Radio, one word, today.